When it comes to global carbon emissions, air conditioning surpasses aviation. But what truly surprised me is how much energy is wasted removing humidity. And it seems NASA has been thinking about this a lot too. In many places, keeping air cool is literally a lifesaver. It's also used in so many processes that our lives wouldn't be the same without it. But somewhat paradoxically, the more we use it to keep things cool, the warmer we end up making other places on Earth. Interestingly, we're still using the same engineering principles for air conditioning as when it was invented in 1902. So the potential for advanced technologies to improve its efficiency is huge. There are numerous solutions circulating in the HVAC sphere, but the groundbreaking innovation in this video comes from outer space. I'm Ryan Innes, and this is a Xerox Deep Dive. Helix Earth is a startup co-founded by former NASA Life Support Systems engineer Dr Rawand Rasheed. He's applied advanced filtration systems designed for space to preconditioning air before it's cooled. This reduces the energy demand for air conditioning by reducing their cooling load. Air conditioning accounts for 3 to 4% of global CO2 emissions. It also uses between 7 and 10% of the world's electricity.
That's my boy. Now let's watch the air conditioner fight the heater.
Now, as temperatures rise and heat waves become more common, the world is going to need a lot more air conditioning, because it's not just used to keep our homes and buildings cool. That in itself can also be a matter of life or death, but the number of processes requiring temperature and humidity regulation is mind-boggling. Air conditioning and precise ventilation is needed for experiments at specific temperatures. It filters and purifies the air in hospitals, pushes harmful bacteria away from surgical sites, and helps maintain isolation units. It's also used in data centers, biosafety labs, wind tunnel experiments, and microchip manufacturing. However, most importantly, of course, it's used in the making of chocolate. Other uses include tunnels, mines, submarines, and the International Space Station. The tricky requirements of outer space were indeed the origins of the groundbreaking water filtration and capture technology from Helix Earth. For life support systems, they have to filter out tiny particles like trace amounts of ammonia that our bodies metabolize from protein to prevent it building up into toxic levels. Rasheed helped develop a way of capturing micrometer-sized water droplets that could be used to fight fires in space. And with NASA's support, applied that to more earthly problems, inventing a system that they claim can cut the AC energy consumption and CO2 emissions by 50%, by pre-treating the air so that the system doesn't have to work as hard to reach the desired temperature. This is because humidity in the air ramps up the AC's workload by increasing the energy required for temperature changes. This is because it requires the water vapor to change phase into a liquid, which is an energy-intensive task. Therefore, preconditioning air before it's cooled can offer huge benefits for air conditioning. In their simplest form, air conditioners are a closed-loop system compressing and decompressing refrigerant, which is the heat exchange medium that absorbs and releases heat as it evaporates and condenses. What's important to remember here is that as heat is absorbed from the incoming air, water is removed through condensation, as the warm air rejects the water vapor because as it becomes colder, it doesn't have enough energy to hold on to that extra moisture. This is part of the reason cool mountain air is so dry. This phase change from vapor to liquid is energy intensive, and there's some fascinating research that shows this humidity load results in more emissions than the temperature load. That is to say, we're emitting more CO2 by taking water out of the air than cooling it, which is the whole point in the process anyway. According to Helix Earth, as the relative humidity of air surpasses 20%, the cooling load increases dramatically, and it's mainly latent load. Unlike sensible load, where energy is used to change the air's temperature, Latent load is what's used to change humidity, or the phase, of the water in the air. So it represents wasted energy usage that Rasheed says has long been accepted as just a necessary cost of doing business for AC systems. But he says that it's his mission to change that, because it's not only wasting energy, but adds to the wear and tear of these systems. All of this is a growing concern because the estimated number of AC units in the world was at 1.9 billion in 2020 and is estimated to triple by 2050. However, if incomes increase and urbanization happens faster in the developing world, and if AC units get cheaper, this will probably be even higher. This is precisely what Helix Earth seeks to change by reducing latent load with its MICRA system, or multiplexed inertial coalescence refined apparatus. Before looking into how it works, something as important as reducing your energy needs is making sure your personal data isn't in unwanted places online, which is why you need to hear about today's sponsor, DeleteMe. DeleteMe is an automated subscription service that will remove your personal information from hundreds of online data brokers. After signing up and setting up your account, their privacy experts will start finding and removing your information from places you don't want it to be. I've been using them for a few months now, and they have just released my second report. They've reviewed over 2,300 listings and found 5 data brokers that were holding my information. This included my name, address, and even my phone number. They provide customized reports every 2 months, and when I looked through mine, I realized it wasn't only my personal data that they'd found, but my family's too. DeleteMe will now continue to act on my behalf to remove more and more of my personal data from unwanted data brokers, as it will inevitably end up back online. And in case I have any questions or want to make a custom removal request, I also have a privacy advisor that I can contact. So if you care about your data and your family's privacy online, you can get 20% off DeleteMe using my code ZEROTH, or use my link joindeleteme.com/Zeroth, which is also down in the description and comments. Now back to the Helix Earth MICRA system. It was developed with the support of not only NASA, but also a network of nanosystems research organizations. It sounds massively complicated, but is essentially a filter made up of helical channels that remove the droplets of water from the air using the same force that throws you to one side of a car when you turn around a sharp corner. From what I can tell, as the humid air is spun around and forced through these helical channels, the heavier water droplets get pushed to the outside and separated for collection. According to Helix Earth, its low-energy, high-efficiency filtration has flexible form factor, is 3D printed from recycled materials, and can be retrofitted to existing systems. Rasheed claims that in AC systems in places like Dubai, the latent or parasitic load is as high as 70%, and he says he finds this unacceptable. This means that because of the humidity in Dubai, most of the energy they're using for AC systems just goes to taking the moisture out of the air. And it's places like this, with soaring temperatures and resources to run the biggest air conditioning systems in the world, that air conditioning without parasitic load could make a massive difference to the environment, not to mention saving a lot of money. But the helical coil filter is only stage 1. There's also advanced and proprietary use of liquid desiccants. I didn't think I'd heard the word desiccant before, but I looked inside of some of the packages I've had for electronic equipment recently and got one of these silica gels out, and it says desiccant on it. These are exactly the same. This is a solid desiccant, and it just draws moisture out of the air. A select few commercial AC units use desiccants to improve efficiency and lifespans in highly specialized applications, but cost and complexity stop the widespread adoption of these. Generally, the ones used are solid desiccants like those silica gel sacks, and they can be challenging to regenerate for the reuse once they've been saturated with water. Now, regeneration means that they need to be dried out so they can be used again and absorb more water. This often uses heat, which adds complexity and cost to system maintenance. Presumably to avoid this, the MICRA features a less common hydroscopic liquid desiccant, maybe something like lithium chloride or calcium chloride. But liquid desiccants also need regeneration, and they also use heat to drive the water out of them during that regeneration process to return it to its original concentration of water. But the difference with liquid desiccants is that regeneration requires lower heats, meaning waste heat from the AC unit could be used, making the process considerably more efficient. I have a bit of a soft spot for this, as I always think making use of waste heat is such an elegant way to increase the efficiency of so many systems, especially our housing. Although this makes them an appealing choice, maintenance can be more complex because they're often corrosive, so require special handling and system materials. When something is designed for space, it's designed with extreme constraints, such as low pressure drops and no moving parts or a limited size. Like so many other visionaries, Rasheed credits these strict limitations to the creative solutions that they have managed to come up with. So, where are they now? Is it reality or a VC ruse? So far, they have a lab-scale proof of concept and an upcoming pilot plant with an American real estate developer at a massive shopping mall and entertainment complex called Post in hot and humid Houston. For context, Post spends about 17% of its total operating budgets just on air conditioning systems. Rasheed says Helix Earth can halve this cost and will make the MICRA systems pay for themselves within 3 years. I've also read articles about future applications for the microfiltration system and how it could reduce particulate emissions and filter out grease in heavy industry. Apparently, their system is so simple, built for the limits of outer space nonetheless, that it has very few potential failure points. The filters can be 3D printed and the whole thing is the size of a shoebox, compared to other washing machine sized systems by their rivals. And it doesn't require changes to legacy AC systems to work its magic. I did wonder though why they're not looking to work with original equipment manufacturers like Johnson Controls, who installed the AC system at the mosque in Mecca that provides 135,000 tons of refrigerated capacity. Rasheed says that retrofitting is a quicker route to the market and that they base their decisions to take the retrofitting approach on feedback from business owners and engineers who advised against relying on OEMs. But if this technology is successful, you'd hope that they could also start to be designed into OEM systems in the first place for faster impact. We'll have to keep following progress on this to see how it pans out, especially with the pilot at Post. So you could think Helix Earth is a load of hot air, but then again, the technology has been developed at NASA. So, one thing is certain though, the demand for air conditioning can only increase, and with so much latent load in traditional systems, it's a technology that is begging to be disrupted. One of the best things about my YouTube work is discovering these amazing startups working in niche areas. Of course, there's a risk that the implementation of their ideas may falter, but together they're a real powerhouse in the quest to make our energy use less wasteful, less harmful, and more sustainable. I have a feeling that this won't be my last video on AC systems, so please let me know in the comments if there are any groundbreaking technologies that I should be looking into. And as you're still watching, please consider subscribing. It's free and will keep you up to date on future videos like this one that I did on a floating wind turbine. And as always, thanks for watching.